We realized that the coaching programs that we were running for executives were the perfect combination of amazing experience for the customer and incredibly clean data collection. And so that's what we're doing at Fount. We run sort of the highest end wellness and performance coaching programs in the world. If someone comes to your home to do your blood work, we run our own custom supplement packaging facilities. So really amazing customer experience matched with, unparalleled data collection.
Welcome back to the Fitt Insider podcast. I'm your host, Joe Veneri. Today I'm joined by Andrew Herr, founder and CEO of Fount. In this episode, we discuss the company's high-performance health concierge, Andrew's plan to turn a coach-led program into a scalable tech platform, and why he believes personalized health optimization is the future of healthcare. Let's get into it. Hi, Andrew. Welcome to Fitt Insider. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Joe. Really excited to be here.
Yeah, likewise, man. Excited to chat. And I think just to kick things off, could you introduce yourself and tell us about Fount?
Yeah, absolutely. So quick background on myself. I ran human performance and biotech strategy efforts for the military for 7 years. Everything from helping them write their research and development strategies all the way down to getting Navy SEALs ready to deploy, ran a major clinical trial. So kind of had the opportunity to do every element of human performance in the military space. And then out of that, I'd be speaking at conferences and executives say, hey, I get with the special ops guys, but what should I be doing? So built an executive coaching business, ran training for their companies. And the big takeaway from those experiences was, we can do incredible things if we do one-on-one, high-level coaching with individuals. But, when I was in the military thinking about the bigger picture, it's like, well, okay, I get what you do for 1,000 Navy SEALs, but what do you do for 100,000 Army grunts? And that starts to get into this idea of all right, well, we're going to need to go beyond elite coaches. We're going to need to start thinking about, ideally some sort of software or AI coaching. And that's really what led to Fount, was this insight that we want to be able to coach people and do it really hyper individualized programs, but none of the data that exists today can ever get you there. It's these 25-person clinical trials. It's observational, non-experimental population scale data, which kind of what led us to the high sugar, low fat diets that don't seem to be working that well. And so basically the idea with Fount was, if you get to the top 5% diet or supplement program or sleep protocol for yourself, it works so much better and is so much easier that it's an absolute game changer for what you're doing. We see this in a bunch of studies too, where they all seem to work the same. There's always a little group of hyper responders who matched well with that intervention, and there's a bunch of people who do okay or not that well. And so to do that, how do we get to that at scale? And the answer is you need to build a data set that lets us build AI coaches. You'd need dozens of experiments per person across thousands of people with really rich pre and post data, ideally labs and wearables and interview data and compliance and everything. And the government's not going to fund that. The academic world's not going to pull that off. And we realized that the coaching programs that we were running for executives were the perfect combination of amazing experience for the customer and incredibly clean data collection. And so that's what we're doing at Fount. We run sort of the highest end wellness and performance coaching programs in the world. Really amazing experiences, everything from someone comes to your home to do your blood work. We run our own custom supplement packaging facilities. So any supplements you get, come with your name on them, and we produce them and then FedEx them to you that day. So really amazing customer experience matched with, unparalleled data collection. We're doing your blood work intensively every month. We're reading your wearable data every day. So again, match the great experience. And then that's building this unique data set. So our clients are not only helping themselves, but they're contributing data to the future of this world, where we'll never sell your data, but we'll use it to build these AI machine learning models that can hyper individualize to Joe or Andrew or anybody.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think, for someone like me and maybe a lot of people listening, it's the ideal situation, right? You have this really high quality coaching experience, totally optimized for you across every kind of aspect of high performance. And when you talk about that now, maybe let's walk through the various aspects of it and where it's going. It's kind of like this high performance, high touch concierge as a wedge into this data collection. So what is the service now, I guess, that people are paying for? And then how does that ladder up to this? You're talking about collecting the data to be able to then do the AI aspect of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the initial program, You come in, we do your blood work for you. It's about 12 to 15 vials of blood, so pretty intensive. We're going to set you up with an Oura ring and or other wearables, depending. We want to make sure we're getting that sleep tracked really well. And then we're going to assign you a coach. Our coaches are former special operators. They're like people who've trained Cirque du Soleil artists. So like really awesome, fun group of people who also have gone through external, but also our own internal certification and training process, which is super intensive, 4-month process. They do like a 90-minute intake, spend a lot of time on what your goals are. Turns out the first thing somebody tells you they want is not really what they want. And then by the end of 15 minutes later, you really know what they want. Top goals people are coming to us for are energy, focus, mood, sleep, gut health, longevity, fertility, losing fat, gaining muscle, stress management, kind of a combination of cognitive and physical goals. And then we take those 3 data sets, lab, wearable, and interview, and use that to generate a version 1 program. We're thinking like, what are the highest return on investment experiments and interventions we can give to you to get to your goals and also fit into your lifestyle, right? If I ask you to do 100 things at once, you're not going to be able to do any of them. So we generate that version 1 program. We're picking the best options from nutrition, supplements, meditation, sleep, light, temperature, exercise, recovery, kind of all the tools that actually work. And that kicks off your program. And then your coach meets with you on a weekly basis where they're helping understand, okay, what's changing? We've looked at your wearable data. How are you feeling? We have an app that you're interacting with. We do your blood work monthly, and we're just continuously iterating. So you get like 12 to 14 experimental cycles where we design and execute different experiments for you. And by the end of that, you're reaching like really high levels of optimization across all the tools, and they're fit into your lifestyle so they can be easy for the long term. So, like 75 or more % of our clients then sign up to continue after that. It's an initial 4-month program because they want continued support, and it's a kind of a lower price point, lower touch after that. But we kind of customize that plan to what the individual wants.
Yeah. And then in terms of that initial 4 months, what are they paying for that? And then how does it break out if they decide to continue?
Yeah, so we've really focused on an all-inclusive model because we don't want you to have to decide like, oh, should I get this or that? Or are they nickel and diming me? Once you sign up for your subscription, it's $3,700 a month for the 4 months. Everything's included: labs, coaching. We send you a $1,000 piece of technology, which we do regularly. It's all included. So we really want to make your life as easy as possible. Ship everything like FedEx Express. And then we also have a series of really cool adjunct products. Whether it's, we can now send about 95% of people anywhere in the world with minimal to no jet lag based on work we did with the military. Those are really cool kits that all our clients get. We have some really awesome work around fluctuating supplement and other parts of the protocol around women's hormonal cycles to reduce the inflammatory component there. So again, really super custom and adjunct products, and it's all included in that product. And then at the end of those 4 months, it's, depending on how often you want to check in with your coach and how often you want to be doing labs, typically runs about $600 to $1,000 a month.
Yeah. So not cheap, but like you said, kind of like all inclusive. And certainly the type of person who's wanting to do this, right, is somebody who is willing to invest in their health and has the means to do that. When you think about continuing to build the business and certainly the coaching aspect of it, in my mind, and there's lots of different executions around it, it's like, in theory, you could go raise a bunch of money, kind of fund the coaching or data collection aspect of this, maybe even at a loss, a break even, and then develop all this technology, all the supplements, all the protocols, like behind the scenes, and not really worry about it. But it seems like at the same time, you're also investing a ton of time and energy into building the coaching network, making sure that they get the technology that they want, making sure that they're achieving their results. So how do you think about, I guess, this period where you're building the coaching? Is it break even? Do you want it to be profitable? Do you need it to be sustainable going forward?
Yeah, so we've raised venture money to fund the business. So we are not running the coaching business at a profit. So the entire business does run at a loss because we invest so much in R&D. And the goal there is to deliver for our clients and also obviously for the future and data collection and things like that. So we've decided to raise money because we think getting to this future faster matters. And our real goal is to go from, well, we think there'll always be people who want a concierge experience, and it's really fun to be able to provide sort of like, oh my gosh, I'm leaving on Wednesday. It's Monday now. I'm leaving on Wednesday for like Mongolia, what should I do? And the answer is like, something will show up at your house tomorrow morning and you've got a call with your coach and we've taken care of everything. But, there's obviously lower price points in the market, and we want to be able to push towards those to really make this level of customization accessible to a lot of people. So yeah, we run it at a loss. We could, we're as a company, we think about fundraising and pricing and all those things in tandem. So thankfully, we've been in a good position with all those things, but we definitely overinvest in R&D from what we would need to do if we were running a profitable business.
Yeah, for sure. And then continuing that into the future, how long do you think, when you think about both from like this pricing and the coaching, and then getting to a point where you're developing, right, other services, offerings that do meet a wider audience at a lower price point? Do you have like a timeline in mind that's reasonable or realistic?
Yeah, so we'll launch the first of our kind of lower end targeted niche products, the jet lag product we call FlyKit. We already sell it to special ops and pro sports. So USA Soccer, when their players fly back from Europe for World Cup qualifying, like they use it for their players and some other teams. But basically, like we'll launch that at the end of the summer as a direct to consumer product. But the real goal is like these AI coaches that can truly customize to you. We think those are about 2 years away. And the reason is the size of the data set you need to get there, which is both surprisingly large and surprisingly small. Like you need thousands of people to at this super high fidelity data to get to build these AI coaches, but you only need probably about 5,000 people to do the version 1 of that product because of how high fidelity, dozens of experiments. We have all this blood work and wearable data, and we design every experiment. So we know exactly what supplements are going into you. We know exactly what recommendations you got for meditation, even. So, anyways, we think we need about 5,000 people to build the SaaS $30 a month subscription product with, if you want to upsell for your supplements or other things. But, so we'll be there in about 2 years, which is incredibly exciting.
Yeah. And considering super fast as well, it's like, it's not that far off. You kind of glossed over the jet lag kit, I think you're calling it, to kind of prevent all the, terrible feelings that come along with traveling, especially like long haul traveling. Was that something that you kind of arrived at through these data sets, or was it maybe like another discovery that led you to that? And how is that, I guess, getting to market?
Yeah, so it was actually a combination. So I had done some work 7 or 8 years ago with the Navy SEAL community on diving, and they have these like insane 8-hour dive missions that you can lose 20 pounds on. It's like really crazy stuff. So we were thinking a lot about dive physiology, and turned out then clients came to us with this problem. It was like, hey, we leave the US, they were flying to Korea for business deals. So you get to Seoul at 4 p.m. There's a big business dinner that night. They want alcohol, and then they want to negotiate at 7:30 the next morning. So like they're using hangovers and jet lag as a negotiating tool. And I was like, that's super smart from a human performance standpoint, but also not good for our clients. So we sat down and we're like, all right, how do we design a protocol that enables us to eliminate jet lag? And we took all the knowledge we have in the nutrition and supplement and the sleep space, and then layered on some of these really unique insights that we realize the big pressure differences when you dive actually are in play. Pressure changes when you fly are this huge underappreciated piece. Turns out they're leading to a non-canonical or kind of like a non-standard inflammatory response. So people realize like, people get these like DVT blood clots in their legs when they fly, but people sit on their couch for 12 hours. If you look at those studies, there's a lot more flare-ups of autoimmune disease after travel. Anyways, you look at all this data and suddenly realize it all makes sense. There's this inflammatory component to travel. A big piece of this pressure change. But because we'd been thinking about it from the diving side, we knew how to turn it off. And so now we actually just got notified by the patent office. They're going to give us a patent on the core technology there. And what you get is you get a physical kit. So it's about the size of like a first class amenity kit. And it has custom dietary supplements, glasses, and a bunch of other stuff in there. Basically, we tell you what time to wake up the morning you leave, when to eat, sleep, and use the stuff in your kit. We have an app that sort of you put some information into, and it gives you your custom program for your body and your trip. and don't have to do anything before the day you leave, but the results are really incredible because we've figured out how to customize by algorithm. And so basically we sell you the initial kit and then we sell you refills. And that's kind of the model that'll launch end of the summer.
Yeah, it's super compelling. Talking about some of the issues that people encounter most often, right? And I think you can arrive at that through not only the kind of questionnaire and the intake and the ongoing check-ins with the coach, but also just in like the data. I'm sure travel, sleep, all of these things that continue to come up across the board. You're like, oh, we can come up with a proprietary solution potentially for each of those things as time goes on. When you think about all the things that people are encountering. Obviously, you talked about special ops, talked about, divers, and talked about business travelers that are going around the world. Do you imagine that this, as Fount continues to develop, it's still going to cater to that like kind of high performing, higher price point, even if you're able to get some of the services down versus somebody who's saying like, I have diabetes or another chronic condition or heart disease. How do you think about the market and how you're able to kind of like tackle the different aspects of it? Maybe who kind of needs that versus who's willing or capable of paying for it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, when you look at our client base, we certainly have a lot of people who are like already into this stuff, like CEO triathlete types and really into optimization. But a lot of our clients are kind of newbies to it. And they realize like when I have a legal problem, I don't go to law school, I hire a lawyer. When, I have a wealth manager, why don't I have a health manager? And they just realize, wait, I can pay great people, like the best people, to take me through a journey and take me from 0 to 60 very quickly. And they find that very compelling. And so we actually have a lot of people who are new to the space, as well as people who are quite deep in the space. And they get kind of, the approach of running experiments is different or is the same, but obviously they like start in different places. But it's really, honestly, I almost prefer working with people who are new to it just because it's so amazing to take somebody through the first parts of the journey when they realize like I don't have to feel this way and all these things I can change, and they really learn a lot. So that's really a lot of fun. So I think to your point, we definitely want this stuff to apply across the board. We think that the right way to go after medical is to build an amazing product in the wellness space, build trust. Like we're not telling you there's one size fits all. Like our whole pitch is that one size doesn't fit all. And we think that's both scientifically accurate, right for clients, and also true. And so I think by speaking truth to a market where a lot of people are pitching one size fits all or very low levels of customization, will really engage a different level of like cognitive interaction with the consumer and allow us to then move to a position where we're a trusted name in the market, and then we can bridge from wellness into health. What we've seen is, in studies, nutrition, exercise, all these interventions are better for example, diabetes than the drugs. You could cure it versus, all the drugs do is mitigate the effects. And so we think that if you can figure out how to make it easy to do these lifestyle interventions, by which I mean, if they are much easy, if you find the right one for somebody very quickly, it's much easier to do and also works better. That's an amazing pathway to helping the majority of disease in America, which is chronic lifestyle disease, diabetes, obesity, heart disease. We think the long term, this is the way to fix the whole problem. And it's a bit of a strange statement for somebody trained as a scientist, like to say we really believe we've figured out how to solve the healthcare problem is obviously a pretty strident statement, but I fundamentally believe if you can figure out how to customize to people, talk about it in the opportunity space instead of preventing negatives. Hey, this is the gaining a positive, that integrating these things together will get us to that future for the majority of people.
Yeah. When you think about and talk about kind of bridging that gap between the kind of wellness world or even like prevention world and then medical, do you envision that being something like the digital therapeutic or like the comprehensive program that is then covered by insurance, or just kind of partnering and integrating with healthcare providers, or full-fledged, like you are now the healthcare service?
I think we'll probably end up with some primary care clinics pretty far down the road. But I think the best model to scale it is probably something like, there's all these capitated or self-pay insurers out there, like big companies might have Blue Cross to run the insurance program for them, but they're paying the bills at the end of the day. So they have a big incentive to lower their spend. Capitated models where they get paid a certain amount per patient and doesn't matter, the person, it doesn't matter how much they spend. So again, we'll need to find people who are really aligned on getting better outcomes versus, the insurance company stuff is tricky because right now the amount of money they're allowed to make and profit is directly tied to the amount of money they spend. So they have a little bit of an incentive to spend more money, not less. So all these things are crazy incentive structures. So we'll find the people we're aligned with. But I think that's sort of self-pay capitated. And then I think there's opportunities to go to this new world of lower tier concierge healthcare. These are these like sort of digitally enabled primary care clinics like One Medical and others, and layer this on top of what they're doing. And especially if it's really very inexpensive in a SaaS product as a digital therapeutic, the upsells might cost more, but I think it matches really well with what they're doing, and those are starting to become more and more accessible to more and more people. If it's if that product One Medical is like $15 or $20 a month, that's more accessible to more people.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense in thinking about it, especially as you have kind of new age, tech enabled, out of pocket primary care businesses popping up. And there's that partnership angle. But I was also curious from like a device or even like blood testing instead of, or maybe in addition to doing some of these tests and collection and coaching all in-house, is there an opportunity to say partner with Apple, partner with Oura Ring, Whoop, to say, let's get that data. It is still, anonymized. It's not, individualized data, but is that not in depth enough to be able to say, hey, we can now take and extrapolate and run our own kind of mini experiments based on that data? Or does it need to be kind of within the Fount ecosystem?
So if you're not running experiments again and watching the data change with those, you'll never be able to build the machine learning models. But somebody might in the future provide their Apple Health Kit data or their Apple Watch or other wearable data, and then our model can read that as like, okay, here's where we think you should start, because you can basically diagnose with this non-experimental data, but you can't prescribe in a sense. Like you're not going to get good examples of what to give somebody. So we'll absolutely use that wearable data in the future, but to actually build the data set to build the machine learning models, you have to do it where what the experiments are. They're time matched to the data, so it does have to be kind of all in house. But we are absolutely already in partnership discussions with other amazing companies in the field who do great data collection, or others. I don't think they'd be upset. We're talking to, for example, Ezra, which does full body MRI cancer screening, really amazing company. And, our clients, I think, will want that kind of peace of mind of knowing that they can get that full body screening. And then it also provides another unique data set that allows us to serve them better. And then also we'll know how to think about that MRI data set in the future.
And then I guess taking that a step further, and that was a little bit of a leading question to talk about these machine learning models to get to a product where you talk about it almost as like a SaaS platform, right? So now you've done this kind of one-off testing, you've done it with the kind of X number of people to get to a point where you can start to make some kind of customized programs, right? So say you reach that threshold, the number of people, I think you might have said it already. Is it 5,000 or?
I think about 5,000 will be one standard deviation of the population we'll be able to handle. So, roughly 70% of the population we'll be able to design custom programs for once we get to about 5,000 people through the Fount program.
And then what does that look like, right? From like the product standpoint. So now you've designed and built it. What does it look like out in the market?
We have these amazing coaches on our team. Like Guy was a Navy special operator, just the most charismatic person you'll ever meet, with biceps like 12 times the diameter of mine. Eddie was an Army Ranger, graduate work in trauma psychology, incredibly thoughtful. Desmond's from the Caribbean and just brings that like super positive energy, commanded hundreds of troops in Iraq. Plus like people who, again, like not all military, but people who've trained dozens of Cirque du Soleil artists, and like you have these amazing people. I can't get away from this idea that we'll essentially have like deep fake these people and they'll be your coach. Like you will still have them as your coach, or it'll be chat. I think there'll be a combination of chat and video plus automatic data collection from wearables that will go into the system. It will design an experiment for you. it'll ping you, like, let's say you want more energy in the afternoon, which is a very common request from our clients. Like, it's going to ask you, okay, we gave you these supplements. Like, how's your energy in the afternoon? Great. I went from a 4 to a 6. That tells the system something, because if you went to a 4 to an 8, it tells you something different from if you went to a 4 to a 2. So then it'll design your next experiment. Okay, we want you to eat breakfast this week, but eat these things for breakfast. And so it'll be a digital coach with content involved. And then because we'll want to be able to keep it at a very low price point, it'll be upsells for things like supplements. If we send you a bed cooling system, that'll be upsell. So upsells for technology and supplements and things like that, and additional lab testing beyond what we need. One of the really cool things is, as we get through these clients, we'll know based on your goals what tests we need, which means we can make it cheaper for you. Because right now we run super extensive lab testing, 120 data points in every lab draw, but maybe only that you need 7 of them to get somebody a really customized experience. So again, digital coach, combination of chat and video, recommendations that you can execute. And if you want, we'll make life easy for you and send you your custom supplements or other things.
As you're talking about it, it has to be right, this like balance between a crazy, ambitious, and big enough problem to solve, right? To reinvent healthcare, right? At the furthest extreme of this, but also kind of obtainable enough that you see the steps to be able to get there, from this coaching to testing the different experiments to getting the data to then individualizing it, making the models. So it's like at once I'm kind of pulled in this direction. There's like, oh, it's not possible. But on the other side, as you talk through it very methodically and practically, it's like, oh, I do see how it gets there. I asked that from the kind of standpoint of, I'm very fortunate in that, like, doing the show and Fit Insider and everything else, get to test a lot of different products, get to talk to a lot of different founders who are building these solutions. And for the most part, I've found myself like trying them and then not using them anymore, right after a given period of time. I kind of get what I need out of it and then move on, or I'm very regimented. So I'm doing almost like the same thing all the time. So I don't see maybe like the spikes in my glucose, for example, from like a glucose monitor perspective. But what would be super compelling is I have a device, or maybe I, stand on my bath mat in the morning and it scans me and then sends a ping somewhere that says my heart rate or this or that, my body weight is up or down, my BMI, and I should adjust my diet. So it orders the food for me and it syncs with whatever delivery. Do you think, I'm not saying that this is the product that you're building, but in terms of, the hype around personalization and interoperability between all the different aspects of health, and thinking about how we do this in a very kind of like frictionless way, are we moving in that direction? Is it realistic to think that we can integrate all those different aspects of health? And I guess, is that the kind of world where you see Fount moving things in that direction?
Yes, we believe this is the way to do it. Basically, like, you need to know how to make sense of the data, right? Like, all the wearables today, some of them we use and like, but their recommendations are like, go to bed earlier, because they don't have the context or the information about what's been changing. So they don't know what to recommend you. So once you build the system to capture the context, and you have these AI coaches that know what to do with it, then absolutely there's no reason you can't have DoorDash deliver you your meal, because the system knows, by the way, we're on an elimination diet, so we're not eating these things. It's reading the menu. It knows what ingredients to avoid. It knows kind of your preferences. I think we absolutely move there. One of the things we're looking into right now for our concierge clients is actually doing meal delivery for them at the very high end. Most of the meal delivery stuff on the market is really helpful from a convenience standpoint, but it's not the best, right? Like, you don't love eating it for most people unless it's like not pre-prepared. But if it's not pre-prepared, it kind of misses the point. We're thinking about what it would look like to have like restaurant quality meal delivery for you, but like no seed oils, super high quality. Oh, you have to do an elimination diet. It just shows up for you. We're really excited about these ideas of making it easy, which is then the prototype of exactly what you're saying. Like, you got up in the morning, your wearable told you had much less REM sleep than normal. We know you went to bed later. We asked you 2 questions, like, did you drink last night? And how are your stress levels? I didn't drink last night, but my stress levels are high. it knows, okay, we want to add, theanine in the morning, plus we're going to use cocoa flavanols instead of coffee because those tend to decrease cortisol levels for you today. Take these packs from, your kit, and we want to actually not do intermittent fasting today. We want you to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner because we want to make sure your blood sugar levels are optimal because of, decreased prefrontal activity from lack of sleep. Like, we're essentially already there in our programs, and then just plugging in these other components and then scaling it. We're already doing that stuff for our clients. So the future definitely looks like that, and it is definitely scalable, and it's going to be great.
Yeah. It's this shift from, talking about it almost in like almost like putting it down, right? Like, oh, biohacking, now shifting it to this personalized health optimization. And when you do that, and when you put it into that framework, it's like in you describing it, it's way more interesting and practical than it would be kind of just like this, quantified self 1.0 almost.
Yeah, I think so. And look, they did a lot of great stuff for the community, and they brought acceptance. They brought forward these wearables. So appreciate it. But like, the current wearables can never get you where you want to go, but they can be a critical part of these programs. And that's, people really want to know what to do, and they want it to be easy. And you know what? They're right. Like, we shouldn't look down on people for wanting to know what to do and have it be easy. That's a very reasonable human request. We think of that as like a normal product request in everything but health. And so our goal is to bring that in health.
Yeah, we've laid out a very broad and kind of projecting into the future in terms of what we think this health optimization and even kind of healthcare world can look like. And getting towards the end of the conversation and maybe wrapping it up, when you think about now over the next, call it 6, 8, 12 months for Fount, what's kind of like top of mind on the roadmap to be able to like move you meaningfully in that direction?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are doing a few different things. One, we're going to launch the first of our ecosystem products, FlyKit, I mentioned for jet lag. We'll launch a couple others right behind it, one for sleep and one for women's hormonal cycles. Really excited to get that technology out there. And then we will be expanding the amount of testing we do and building out partnerships with some really cool companies. I mentioned one, but some really exciting other companies we're going to be partnering with that are, names that anyone who watches this show would know, and be able to bring their technology and integrate the data collection from it directly into your program. So it's all about, I always say, like, the better our programs are, the more fun they are, the better the data quality we get. So it's like a virtuous cycle. We want to be fully aligned with our customers, and then really launching these customized programs at scale. And that's really our focus for the next 6 months. We're expanding the company pretty dramatically here. We'll be hire another probably dozen people in the next 6 months. Thankfully, business is good, and we're really excited about the results, and so are our clients.
Yeah, a lot to look forward to. Certainly an exciting time. And I think listeners will be interested both potentially from a customer standpoint, but potentially as well from a partnership standpoint. So if folks wanted to get in touch, learn more, where would you direct them?
Yeah, so they can feel free to reach out to me directly at aherr, AHERR at fount.bio. Or if you just put in a request through the website, there's one on there that's, reach out to me directly, or reach out to the company, as opposed to, the client waitlist sign up. If they reach out to us through the website or via my email, we'll get back to them. And always looking for amazing companies to partner with. From, we have PhD, psychologists who we work with who send us their clients because it's hard to optimize the mind without the body, to big tech companies. So we love to work with people big and small.
Awesome. I hope folks take you up on that. And I appreciate you making some time for us today.
Awesome, Joe. Really a pleasure. Thanks for the great questions. And, I love laying out the big vision. So thanks for taking me there.